Ask America.
Welcome to Aaron Ask America. On today's episode, I have a friend of mine. He is my worship leader at the church that I go to. I'm always excited. I always say I'm excited, but I am excited to have Blair on the podcast today. Blair,
What's
welcome,
up?
welcome to the podcast.
What's up?
Nothing much. So now I can officially say that I have had both hosts of the PB&J podcast before it was cool, right? So the way that I'm going to release these is I'm going to release, Jackson is Thursday, and you'll be next Thursday. So I'm going to have.
Did y'all talk about it when he was here?
A little bit. I think he showed. Didn't he show some of the audio from it? Yeah, he showed some of the audio from it, so I think it was a clip that you had talked about where you had mentioned his hairline.
What's funny is when we released that it's the PB&J podcast, that wasn't our first name. We had to change the name because our original name was Buns and Roses.
Buns and
So
Roses.
for man buns, but we changed it because if you notice Jackson's hair, he's losing it. And so we were like, dude, if you have to cut your man bun, the name's gonna make no sense.
Well, one of you could keep it. You could keep the man bun, but
Yeah, but it's like Buns and Roses. If we don't have a man bun, it kind of is like they were like, why is it Buns and Roses? What does that kind of do?
Well, no, I will tell you that out of the two, PB&J was.
Yeah, we like it.
Yeah, that one's really good. I think it'll stick as long as y'all just keep it going, and because you have a base of kids right on Wednesday, and then young adults on Thursday that could kind of keep the ball rolling as far as the downloads go.
Yeah.
And so have you decided? Are y'all going to go on? What is it? It's not Apple Music anymore. What is it called? Where are y'all going to release it at?
I don't really know. I think depending on what you use, can't you release it on pretty much any platform like Spotify and Apple Music and Apple Podcasts? And, yeah, so I think we're just going to do that.
Okay.
I
Because
think.
I just didn't know if it was going to be video and audio. Because I think there's a lot of them out there. I don't know if, again, it's been years since I've done an audio-only thing, so I have no idea. Before, like, you would pay for a website called Podbean, and then when you would upload the episode to them, and then they created an RSS feed and then sent it out at Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify. So I'm sure they probably still do the same thing, but
Maybe.
there may be a free version of it out now.
I know Jackson's handled a lot of that stuff. I'm kind of just showing up and talking. He's kind of handled the whole business side of it.
Hey, that's one way to handle it, right? You do everything. I'll show up and I'll be the
Yeah,
I'll be the front man. I'll be the lead singer.
Yeah, he's taken that whole thing. I'm just kind of showing up.
So, as you know, as we've gotten to know each other throughout the years, we both share a love for movies and superheroes. So, who is your favorite superhero, and why is it Batman?
I knew you were going to ask this question. My favorite superhero is Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And you've known that.
Yeah.
Because, like, just as a kid, I grew up on the Justice League cartoon, and I always thought Green Lantern was just so cool. He was a pilot, and then he had this ring that could do anything he wanted. So I always thought that was so cool. And when I was, like, 11 or 12, my dad took me to my first superhero movie in the the theaters, and it was the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. And everybody makes fun of it. And looking back on it now, it was like, okay, I understand. But in the moment, when I was 11 and 12, I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Right, because it was your favorite superhero in live action. I guess.
And I saw Blake Lively, so I was like, I love this movie.
It's the greatest movie ever. It's got Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively in it.
Yeah, in the moment, it was so good. But now looking back on it, I'm like, all right.
So, so it was Justice League Unlimited, right? And then there was like the CGI Green Lantern show. Did you watch that one?
Yes, I did a while ago. But yeah, growing up, my main shows were the Justice League Unlimited. Those were like, I was watching those every day.
Yeah, top tier. I mean, it's one of the best ones because you had Kevin Conroy playing Batman. You had his voices that from animated series and from the other DC animated shows just showing up, and they told phenomenal stories. So did you see today, I know this is going to release like 2 weeks from now, so it'll be old news, but did you see what James Gunn said about Superman and Green Lantern today?
Oh, that Green Lantern could beat him up or could take it to Superman?
Yeah.
I mean,
The way that I look at it, and you might feel a little different about it, but the Superman that James Gunn created, yes, well, I think without a shadow of doubt, just about every metahuman on planet Earth could probably take out Superman, just from the
at
way.
least put up a fight.
Yeah, which it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like Superman should be like not God tier because that's not what James Gunn wants, but I mean, but he should be able to take out Green Lantern like it shouldn't be even a fight.
I think as the universe goes on, and like the more movies come out, like the next Superman, that when that comes out, I think you're going to start seeing like not a darker side, but more of like you're going to start seeing more serious sides of James Gunn's Superman. Because like the first movie, it was more like I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't dark. It was like comic booky, light, and kind of made you feel like what you just said, where it's like the Superman's not that strong. I think as the more movies come out and the more the universe expands, I think you'll start to see kind of that side of him. At least I hope. We'll see. I have no
So
clue.
you think that they're going to start moving David Cornsweet closer to Henry Cavill's Superman?
No, not like dark, like because Henry's was like dark and like gritty. I don't think it'll be like that, but I think the way people feel, like a lot of people have felt the way you feel after that movie, how it kind of made Superman kind of like not as strong as he should be. I think as the universe expands and the more movies come out and the more we get to see these characters, I think you'll start to see Superman become this more of a stronger force, I guess, or whatever. I don't even know what the word I'm thinking of.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like maybe every time he gets hurt, like when his body heals, it becomes stronger.
Yeah.
Kind of like the same way, like when you break a bone and your body heals, it becomes stronger. Maybe that's
Especially like after they introduce Batman, I think you'll start to see that.
Yeah.
In David Cornsweet's Superman.
Well, the issue that I have, and hopefully they'll get this resolved in the next movie. I'm not even talking about Man of Tomorrow. I'm talking about Woman of Tomorrow. There's no way that this story doesn't include Superman because if Lobo shows up on Earth, like Superman's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go over here and like hide in like the cave or something. I don't know. So I think that if it is going to turn a little bit more serious, it would turn a little bit more serious in the Supergirl movie, just because of the story.
Well, didn't James Gunn say that was going to be more gritty and like more like kind of like I can't remember the words he used, but he said something along the lines that movie was going to be a lot different.
Well, it has to be because the story that they're telling is if it sticks semi close to the comic book, it's going to be a tough movie to watch, which is I think what we need for after the Boy Scout, because that was the biggest issue that I had with Superman was they made him he needs to be a Boy Scout. I get that, but to the point where he's saving a squirrel is kind of interesting, kind of an interesting to do. But I get it. I said that James Gunn went for a bunt instead of like instead of a home run, where Zack Snyder swung absolutely as hard as he possibly could on his movie.
You think James Gunn played a little bit safe?
I do, but I also
but think about it. Like in his perspective, I put myself in his shoes. Like DC is like tried and tried and tried, and it's just never gotten going. Zack Snyder's universe was awesome. People loved it, and it got shot down, failed. So like in James Gunn, he gets brought in as the guy. It's like, you're going to take over this universe. And it felt, and I told you this, it felt like this was kind of DC's last straw for a little bit. So it's like, that's a lot of pressure. So maybe in his eyes, he was like, I don't know why he maybe played it safe a little bit, but maybe in his eyes, he was like, I got to find a way to get a movie to make people feel good, to get them to want to come back, and then we'll start taking some risks down the road once we get them in the theater. I don't know, maybe that's it. I don't know why else he would, I don't know what you think. The bigger issue that I have in the overall DC universe is generally like you want a franchise to be as successful as you possibly can, right? So Marvel has stuck to PG-13 realm except for Deadpool, right? They've kept to this realm. Yeah.
Whereas everything around Superman has been hard R content, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you make a Green Lantern show and then you have Nathan Fillion say, "I have never said so many F words in my
I'm
career."
hoping he was joking.
I don't think so. You saw him on Peacemaker, right? Have you been watching Peacemaker, or did you
I
skip
haven't
it?
watched Peacemaker, but I know what the content of
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. So I would tell you, as far as from a Peacemaker standpoint, if you ever do decide to watch it,
I know it's bad.
you just skip the first 2 episodes and then just watch the previously on because
That's even more than the Green Lantern stuff. I don't understand how Peacemaker is in the same universe as this Superman, because I know about the show. I've never watched it, but I know like the content and like the language and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know how this Peacemaker's in the same universe.
well, it's the same thing where you're going to be asking like, well, look at Creature Commandos, right? I could like I couldn't even watch it, right? Because it kept on going back to like the cartoon nudity and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, I can't watch this. Peacemaker, like, basically kind of tricks you, and then when that happened, I was like, whoa. You kind of skip to the end of the episode and say, okay, hopefully that never happens
Yeah.
again, because there's no sense of it in this particular universe. So, because my other point is this. Okay, you want, like, the movies and TV shows make a portion of what the studio wants. The rest of the money they make is in toys. Mm-hmm. So like, am I gonna buy my kids Peacemaker toys? Mm-mm. Am I gonna buy my kids Creature Commando toys? And then when the Green Lantern show comes out, if it's hard R TVMA, am I gonna want to buy any Green Lantern toys for my kids? No. And I would say it's not just me. Sure, there's other parents out there that might, but like, I don't want my kids to watch Peacemaker or
No.
Creature Commandos.
And if they don't watch it, they're not going to want to buy it. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest issue with the DCU so far. And then we have Clayface that's coming out that is going to be hard R. I think Supergirl is probably going to be PG-13, depending on how much Lobo is brutal, because Lobo's character himself should be rated R on his own right.
I'm excited. I think Jason Momoa and Millie Alcock, I think they're going to be really good together. I think they're going to have some good chemistry. I could be wrong, but I'm excited about it.
Well, have you seen Lobo at all? Like, do you know his personality?
I had never heard of Lobo until you told me about him.
So Lobo is basically like a Deadpool kind of character. He doesn't break the fourth wall, but he's a character that is eternal, because the only way to kill his race is by other people in his race. So he killed everybody on his planet, and then so he's the only one left. And then when they figured
one way to live forever.
Yeah, and after that happened, they figured out a way to kill him. So when he died, he went to hell, and he caused so much chaos in hell that hell kicked him out to heaven. He gets to heaven, causes chaos there, and they kick him out. So he's like this creature that can't die. He's brutal. He's a bounty hunter.
So how do you beat him? Like, what do you do?
You just fight him, and then that's it. Here's what I'll tell you. Jason Momoa, his version of Aquaman was Lobo. Mm-hmm. Just the way he talked, the way that he carried himself.
So does Lobo, is he going to look like a human being? Or is he going to look like a monster?
So Lobo he's got like a white face, kind of like the Crow. I used to have a Funko Pop up there of him, but I guess I moved it. But like, his face is white. He's got red eyes. He's kind of got like a black thing on his eyes.
So like, will we be able to tell it's Jason Momoa, or is he going to look completely?
Depending on how they do the makeup, right? Depending on how they do the makeup, because if they do the makeup properly, then we'll know it's Momoa, because he's basically got huge kind of hair, which I don't like think of like 80s punk rocker hair. Is like the traditional look.
When I saw, if I've seen like the cartoon pictures, it kind of looks like a, is it Kiss? Were they the ones with the
exactly,
big hair?
yeah. So that's a really good indication. Like, he's like a Gene Simmons, the guy with the long tongue, right? So, did you want to pull up a picture of Lobo so that way you can see him? That one right there, the fourth one over. Yeah, that one. That one's a really good shot of him. So he's kind of got dreadlocks. He's got the white face. You see, he's kind of got the black around the eyes, and his eyes are red. Yeah, is
that like dreads?
Yeah. Yes,
Dang.
dude. There is a there's a comic series called American Alien that this guy used to follow wrote. And the last episode, so American Alien is a tale, like there was 6 comic book issues of Superman throughout his life. So it was one episode when he was a kid, all the way through this time where he was just becoming a superhero, and Lobo shows up, and they just go to town. It's super bloody and everything. It was a good comic. So him fighting a Supergirl. The only way I could think of that this might work is if it's off planet. So
Off
like
Earth.
so she's off getting drunk or whatever she was because she was drunk at the end
So
of
this
the
movie takes place after Superman, right?
I don't know.
Like, is this movie take place like she just showed up at the thing to get her dog at the end of Superman?
I don't know.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know the time. I don't know the timeline on Supergirl, but I would assume that maybe this movie takes place before. So like when she shows up drunk, like maybe she had just got done beating up Lobo and got away from him or something like that, or maybe some of it takes place before, and she shows up drunk and she wakes up and for whatever reason Superman's off planet.
And I'm assuming that the end of her movie is going to lead into the new one they just announced with Lex and Superman and what's it called, Man of Tomorrow? Is
Yeah.
that what it's called.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the ending of Supergirl is going to lead into that.
So he said Peacemaker is going to end leading up to Superman. So that's why there's a lot of speculation that David
When do you think,
Cornsweet's going to show up on Peacemaker.
When do you think Batman's getting announced or getting revealed? Do you agree with me? I think Batman's already been cast.
I think so too. I think that guy who leaked that picture from the guy from the Yellowstone, I don't know the guy's name.
Yeah.
The guy from the Yellowstone
it's him?
spinoff, I really do.
I think so too.
And I think I don't know how old he is, but he looks the part.
Yeah.
He looks the part. So I hope he gets it. Because I can't remember. Did you watch? I think it was 1923.
No, I haven't watched it yet, but I've
Okay.
seen clips. I looked up clips on TikTok
Yeah.
of him, and I was like, there was a scene in the show where he's like in a tux and he's like fighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's
on a boat.
I
Yeah.
think so. And I was like, dude, that's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh,
and-
that got me so excited. I was like, this is it.
Well, for the show, like I could care less because I think there was like 3 or 4 different storylines going on. I could care less about any of the storylines except for his, because his character he acted when he's you have actors like Alan Richardson or however you pronounce his name, like when they walk into a room, like their presence, the way that they act, command, and that's the way that he acts and. He's kind of got the stoic look, and we saw those pictures of him completely shredded. So, because
And I said, and he fits the mold. When they announced James Gunn was starting a new universe, they announced David Cornsweet as Superman. I said that they shouldn't get a known actor for Batman. I felt like everyone was wanting Robert Pattinson to be the Batman of this universe. I think it's a great. I love Robert Pattinson as Batman, but you've already seen how long it's taken for them to do Batman 2.
Yeah.
I think Robert Pattinson is this great actor that has a lot of other things that he wants to do. I don't think he's going to want to be a part of a universe for 10, 15 years.
Plus, he's too old, anyways.
Yeah. It's like an unknown actor is going to be like kind of hungry for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you need. You saw that with David Cornsweet. He wasn't really known. He's like, you see him talk about Superman, and he's like, it's like a passion of his now. So I think that's what you need with someone whoever's going to take on the mantle of being Batman.
Well, I just hope that they do Batman correctly. That's all I'm at. Because to me, they fumbled Superman a little bit. So if you fumble Superman and then you fumble Batman, then the rest of the universe is going to fall too. Because you have this anticipation. Because Superman is like the face of DC to a degree, but like Batman is like the foundation. Like you screw him up, you might as well just pack your bags and go home. If they do the Bat family gimmick, I think that'd be a terrible thing to do. I think you should have. Did you see the movies? What was it called? There's Batman versus Robin, and then there's one where they introduced Damian Wayne. I forget the name of that movie, but it's an animated DC movie that's phenomenal, where Talia al Ghul shows up and she's like, "Hey, remember that night that I seduced you?" And he's like, "Yep, here's your son." And then she's like, "I gotta
don't
go."
remember that.
Oh, you haven't seen those? You haven't seen those? I forget what it's
I don't
called.
remember it.
But it's called. I forget the name of the actual one because there's a series of them. There's let's call it Batman, and then there's Batman versus Robin, and then there's like
Well, I saw a set photo of Clayface, and in the background on one of a newspaper, it said the Flying Graysons or something like that. So I was
That's cool.
like, okay.
I wouldn't have a problem if they have Damian Wayne, right, and Dick Grayson has already moved on to being Nightwing, because
Would that work with what's his name's age? Brendan or Brandon? Is it Brandon?
you're talking about the guy we've been talking about.
Sklenar? Yeah, the guy.
I mean, she seduces him at 19. 5 years later, I mean, he.
But
could,
I mean, if Dick Grayson's already Nightwing, Dick Grayson.
They could age him up a little bit, right? Because that way he can play the role for longer. But like Dick Grayson,
Would that make kind of Batman more of a brother figure to Dick Grayson?
Yeah. So if they cast him and let's say he's 35, Dick Grayson could be like 25, and Damian Wayne could be like 10, and that would be perfect. Kind of like a 10-year to 15-year gap between Bruce and the rest of them.
This is so weird, though. Like this universe being alongside Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Because have you seen everything that's been coming out about that movie?
Mm-hmm.
The scripts and everybody's loving it. It's awesome. It's gonna be different. And people have. There's rumors that the kid that won the Oscar, or was it the Oscars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was
What-
Emmy. He just won
Emmy.
Emmy. Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't know.
That what I'm talking about, that young kid, the British kid. People are like, he's gonna be in it. He's playing Robin. Like all these rumors are coming out, so it's like it's gonna be so weird. Like what if they do Robin, and then
I don't think so. I don't think the Batman universe could handle a Robin.
Robert Pattinson's.
Yeah, I think it's too brutal to have a Robin.
It's Batman versus Robin and Son of Batman.
Oh, that's what it's called, Son of Batman. So Son of Batman you should watch because like Batman, it introduces you to Damon Wayne, like before he gets to, so what happens is Talia seduces, you don't see this part, but Talia seduces and drugs Bruce Wayne because she wants his stuff. And then she gets pregnant. She doesn't tell him. And she goes back to the League of Shadows, right? She has the baby. Again, doesn't tell Bruce about it at all. Raises him in the League of Shadows. He is an assassin. He is a killer of killers.
Damian Wayne?
Yes. They're attacked by, I forget who, but Deathstroke's involved. So
Of course he is.
yeah, so she flees to Gotham, says, "Hey Bruce, hey, here's your son," and then leaves. She's like, "I got to go do stuff or protect the League of Shadows or whatever, something to do with League of Shadows, right?" So now you have Bruce, who has this no-kill thing,
And then he has this kid who's just going around.
he was just all about it. You should watch this because it's so funny because like Nightwing, Dick shows up, and then it's immediate just.
They don't like each other.
They just butt heads because Damian Wayne he was raised to be a killer. He knows
The
he's
opposite
a
of-
killer, so he has got this ego that is 1,000% because he's killed before, right? And nobody can stop him. So like in the movie, minor spoilers, but they get into a fight and it is so funny when they start fighting because Dick doesn't understand the level of power that Damian has as far as fighting, so he underestimates him, and it's a funny sequence.
Dang.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's Bruce trying to solve what's going on because it's the Court of Owls story arc, and you have Damian just trying to kill everybody. When I say everybody, criminals. Like, why are you? He's like every single time they go out, he's like, why don't you just kill these people? Like, why are you letting the criminals go? All this stuff. It's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it was called Son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, and then there's like one or two after like Bat Family where they introduce more of the Bat Family in there. But it's a good story arc. But yeah, that's Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
So out of the Robins, I think that Dick Grayson will probably always be the best because you got a little bit. I don't know how much you paid attention to Jason Todd before Titans, but Jason Todd in Titans was cast perfectly, and the guy acted him perfectly. Because when I remember the episode before he showed up, I'm like, oh, Jason Todd's showing up. This kid better be the most unlikable person ever. And the first thing he does is like beat up like 6 or 7 cops for no reason other than I'm like, okay, I want to see this guy beat to death by the Joker.
Dude, I thought the guy in Titans as Dick was so good as
Yeah.
Nightwing. I
Yeah.
loved him as Nightwing, but obviously he's probably too old now to play him.
Yeah,
was
well,
like,
man, I mean, he still could, but I think that they probably want to divorce everything and
I
everybody
love
from.
that guy. I thought he did a great job.
I thought they all did a pretty good job. The only one that I really didn't like was what's her name, Starfire.
Yeah,
Yeah, wasn't a big fan of her. I'm sorry, not Starfire. Who was the little girl that couldn't control her powers?
Raven.
Raven. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of hers. Nightfire, Starfires. I didn't have a problem with her. It was the other one where it's like they didn't know what to do with her. She was so stinking powerful, and she's with the group that's not powerful. And it's like, so what do you do with her? And then they bring in Connor, and it's like he's so powerful. Like, what do you do with him?
Yeah, they kind of were grounded. They didn't know what to do.
But I mean, I enjoyed the show for what it was, though. So
I forgot about that show. I haven't watched
Yeah.
that show in a while.
it ended. I wouldn't say the best, but it got an ending. It
Yeah.
got an ending where because they cast that older guy as Bruce Wayne.
And you didn't like him.
No, because he was he was from Game of Thrones, and so when you see a guy play a character named what was his name?
Jorah in Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
Jorah? Mormont?
Jorah Mormont. Yeah. Jorah, I think it was Jorah. Maybe that's his dad's name. Either way, he's a Mormont. He's definitely a
Yeah.
Mormont. He's part of that family.
It's something like that, right?
Yeah, it's something Mormont because he's part of the Bear family, which is. But anyways, so like seeing him be like he was on Game of Thrones, and then all of a sudden he's playing my favorite character, and like I was like, what is going on here? Like, what are they doing?
It
But
was just HBO kind of bringing back one of their guys.
and then did he commit suicide in the show? I think is what he did. He either committed suicide or he pretended to
in
commit.
Titans?
Yeah, yes. There was a story arc. I don't know if they left him dead or not, but like there was a moment where like he lit a house on fire, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. It's been a while since I paid attention to the show.
Oh, I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
been a while.
But I was like, what the heck? Like, why would Bruce Wayne commit suicide? That's stupid to me.
Yeah. I don't know. But I definitely thought that casting was weird. But
Yeah. An older guy. They needed an older Bruce because everybody was older, I guess. But for the real, let's shift from superheroes. I think we talked about that for enough. Let's get to the real reason I wanted you to come on the show. So we've been going to Second Mile for 5 years now, right? 5 and change now. We started coming right before COVID.
Yeah.
So the crazy event that happened at the previous church we went to was like the last weekend of February of 2020, and then we took a week off because of just the whatever. And then the first church we go to, Second Mile. Your dad gets up there and preaches a sermon so me, my wife, her dad, and her mom, and the kids are there too, but we're all in the back row. Your dad gets up there and speaks to basically the point of the sermon was, regardless of the way the world treats you, whether they slander you, whatever happens, still get up and get to work. And like that was like he could have preached about Daniel, he could have preached about Ezekiel, he could have preached about anything. But that one Sunday that we were there, that was a sermon that he preached on, and that was the exact thing we needed to hear. And even though we did visit a couple of churches, but I wanted to verify that I was, because my connection to your dad and my connection to that building, so I want to make sure that it wasn't an emotional response, especially with all the stuff that happened at the previous church. So we went and visited a couple of churches, and then COVID happened, and then we just stayed there.
Yeah.
So the reason I bring all that back up is at the same time, right, COVID happens, you're in worship, but there's a leader, and then COVID comes to an end. Well, not comes to an end, but like we can start assembling together, and then all of a sudden you're the head worship leader. And the reason why I bring that up is for this reason, like from the moment you took over till now, you're not the same person.
Everybody says that to me.
Yeah, and it's been an amazing thing to watch God work through you and change you and give you a boldness. I mean, for you, I don't know if you've noticed it or anything like that, but like your boldness is like the people that are paying attention we're getting fired up from it, and it's been awesome to watch.
I get that like all the time. I get that from so many different people. And honestly, even before COVID, like I have friends that I had in high school, and I'll run into one of them, and like they're talking to me, and it's like they're talking to like a completely different person that they knew back then to where I am now. And I tell that to our students a lot. Like when I'm like talking to them on Wednesdays at the youth, I'm like, I feel like a completely different person. Like my personality is that like I have the same sense of humor and not all that, but like it's just wild. I in my soul and like in my bones, like I look back on who I was to where I am now. I am a completely different person. It's crazy, and it's just wild. It's been a wild ride. Everybody my whole life, because I was like me and my brothers.
Yeah.
Everybody looked at me. And my brothers will say the same thing. They looked at me, and they were like, everyone was like, "You're going to be the one that takes over for your dad, that follows in your grandfather's footsteps, and you're going to be the one." And I was always like, "No, that's not my thing."
Yeah.
Kind of like in a rebellion way. Like I don't want to be in the ministry. I want to do my own thing. Don't tell me what to do. I don't want to do what you're going to. And so I always like denied it. And then COVID happened, and then I told my older brother Brady, I said, I think God's wanting me to be the worship leader, to step in and help. And I told him I could, and then here we are.
Yeah. It's been wild to watch for sure, because at the beginning, I'm not the biggest worship person. Chrissy will tell you that. It's been recently that I've gotten into Stephen McWhirter. That's kind of, God has used this guy's music to bring me into line, I guess is the best way to say it, because I love his music, I love his voice, I love his style, I love everything about the guy. But watching you go from this guy who seemingly, because again, I didn't know you at the time, seemingly was thrust into this position like you didn't ask to be there, right? And then you're just up there, you were doing what you needed to do, to now it's like, okay, this is what you were built to do.
It's wild. A lot of people don't know this. A few weeks before I stepped into the worship leader, before the other leader left, I had a meeting with my dad, and I was like, "Hey, I'm struggling. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can be on the worship team anymore. It's a burden. I'm getting up there, and I'm tired, and I feel like I'm done with it. I need to kind of take a step back and figure out what's going to happen." And so that happens, and then 2 weeks later, the leader leaves, and it's like God's like, "No, you're not done." And then he's like, "In fact, you're about to take on more responsibilities." So I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. It's one of those moments where you hear that like you can't change God's plan, right? God had a plan for you. You're like, yeah, maybe not this time. And God's like, yeah, I'm going to make sure this happens. So I think it's awesome to see you grow in the way that you are, whether from the music that y'all been releasing to now hopefully this PB&J thing just explodes, because I feel like everything around your life is going to be pointing to ministry. So it may be one of those podcasts that are just centered, like light centered, but also between you and Jackson, I think it's just like from the name to y'all's personalities, I think it could explode overnight, and that's what I hope for. And did you go to East Texas with Jackson?
To that conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both did.
Okay, so he told me about his experience with that. So I was asking him, because when he presented what he had to do, one of them was a Bluetooth speaker, and then a whole bunch of books. And I was like, "Well, what was a Bluetooth speaker for?" So he told me what it was. So like, what was your like experience like when you got there?
So Jackson is the one that put this, like, he found out about this conference through, I think, Lulu's family, and he told me about it, and we had planned it, and then my dad had his surgery, so he wasn't able to go, so we were still going to go. He told us to still go. We didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, because they went up ahead of me. I had to lead worship at ABU, their chapel, so I had to go up meet him up there. And so he had already gone through like half of the day's sessions already. So he had already kind of been through it. I hadn't, and I hadn't talked to him. I hadn't been able to because he had been so busy. So I was driving up there not really knowing what to expect, what I'm walking into. And so I get there and we go into the next session, and it's like a 2.5 hour talking session. Then they have we go straight to dinner, and then we go outside to a campfire, like this massive campfire. And they have all the pastors sitting around, and they're leading us in acoustic worship. And there's 3 pastors there that are giving their testimonies about their churches and struggles that they had. And it's not just struggles, it's heavy stuff. Where pastor was people on my staff were caught having relationships with students and doing things, and I had to deal with that. And then a week later, I had a guy do this, and a week later I had to do that, and it was just a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It kind of hit me in the face, how the heaviness of it. And the next day we went through all the sessions, and they're just giving us a lot of really good stuff, just about prayer and about they were talking about how their churches were dead and dying, and they were at a dead end. They were like, what do we do? And they prayer and becoming a praying church. And we kind of told them everything about our church, where we thought we were at, and we were talking to them a little bit about it. But they gave us all these books and that speaker, and they were like, we're splitting you up. And I was like, all of and they put us in different rooms, and they put me in this massive, not massive, but it was a big room where I think it's where they do small groups or something, or Sunday school classes or something. I don't know what they do, but it's a big room, and it feels like a classroom. And I'm in there by myself, and they were like, you're going to take the next 4 or 5 hours, and you're just going to spend some time. They gave us reading material, and you're going to spend some time kind of seeking God. Not just praying because you have to, but you're going to spend some time seeking God and His presence. And it was wild. Me and Jackson kind of had different responses to the whole week. At the end, we talked about it a lot, and throughout, we stayed in the same hotel room, so we'd come home after the day, and we'd come back to the room after the whole day, and we were talking about everything that we'd been going through, what we were feeling about it. And me and him kind of had different responses. He kind of was convicted in a major way, and he was kind of more broken, broken and tender, he. In me, I think I reacted in a different way, because it's they kind of told us areas that we were doing wrong. And so Jackson was more convicted, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was doing this wrong the whole time. I've been letting people down. I've let God down. Things like that. For me, when they told me everything that was wrong, but they also gave us solutions, I'm more fired up, all right, let's go, let's do this, let's go fix it. And so we both kind of had different responses in that, but it was wild. Though just what they had us doing, seeking, the idea of seeking God and spending that much time, where it was it was crazy. I was what David said, search me and know me, God.
Yeah.
In that 5 hours, it was God was revealing things that I felt that I didn't even realize I had felt, and it was just weird. It was a crazy experience.
So what was it like being at a huge bonfire with a bunch of men of God? To me, that's, aside, of course, the most important thing is the prayer, but being there, because I've been a part of men's meetings, right? Because the church I grew up in used to go into a thing called Iron Sharpen Iron, and
Yep.
Central used to go to there too.
Yeah.
That's how I got to see my uncle Tim, basically every year that our church was there, y'all were there. But so I've been in rooms where a bunch of men are singing, and there's always something special about that. But now you're taking it to just pastors who are called men to be shepherds, sitting around a fire, praising God. And what was that like to be around?
It was awesome. It was so cool, because even though I've only been in ministry for 5 years, I've been around groups of pastors and ministers and people who are much older than me, because I knew I was going to be the youngest one there. And so I've been around pastors and ministers and people older than me that kind of to kind of talk down to me.
Yeah.
Because they're older, they're I'm this kid that doesn't know what he's doing, that doesn't know what he's talking about. But in this time, all these pastors, it wasn't like that. It was more I was around all these pastors that were much older than me. There was 2 times older than me, 3, like it was just, they were, and I'm with them and they're all worshiping and I'm watching them all worship. And I catch myself a lot not really worshiping myself because I was so busy looking around because it was just so crazy to me.
Yeah.
I saw like this 90-year-old. He was like, I don't know if he was 90, but he was close to 90, and he was a pastor. And I saw him like weeping and worshiping, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, because usually I'm the one leading like an audience in worship.
Yeah.
And so it was just wild to me being around and looking around at these pastors that were so broken and so burdened, and seeing them pour out their hearts to God in worship. It kind of stunned me because I didn't know what to expect with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think it's a cultural thing for us over here in the westernized side of things is we like to put people on pedestals. So like it's easy to forget that pastors have all the same struggles that we do until they fall, right? That's when everyone's like, oh, well, instead of, because like one of my favorite chapters to bring up is Galatians 6. Galatians 6:1 tells us as a people, to those who are fallen, help them get back up on their feet. It doesn't say punch them until they're dead.
Yep.
It says lift them up and bring them back into relationship with the church. It specifically says, so like if I have an issue and you have the same issue, I'm not the person to bring it. You got to find someone that doesn't have the same issue, but still the goal is to lift them up. So being around these pastors who are sharing, because I'm assuming, so like I have people in my life that are my people that hold me accountable, right? And I think you do too. But like when you get up to the point of pastor, like how do you can't have an accountability partner inside of the church. So like I've always wondered, like, who does your dad go to, or who does previous pastor used to go to, or where do all these pastors go when they're struggling, or do they just keep it to themselves, and that's why we see them fall, is because they don't have a way to just be like, this is what's going on, and then trust the person to just leave it there.
Yeah, what it needs to be is like to have pastors in your life that you can go to that can lift you up, and have a group of men that you can go to. For me and Jackson and my dad, there's been times where it's kind of just been us in a circle, kind of just venting and talking to each other about like the struggle or what's going on. And like over the last year, I remember for me, after summer last year, after summer until New Year's, it was like September to January, I was really struggling because it felt like I was in a good spot personally, but it felt like everybody around me and everybody in the church was just really struggling. People were walking in, dragging into church, and really dealing with a lot of everyone was going through a struggle financially, or something was happening, and it felt like everybody was just really down, really depressed almost, and it was for a long time. And so I would go to Jackson and my dad during the week, and I'd be like, I just going to church right now is a burden. Leading worship is tough, because I'll get up and I'm excited, trying to lead people on a happy worship song, and I'm looking out, and it's like people are dragging in really down because of things that are happening in life. Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. It was a weird feeling. It kind of everyone around me was feeling down, so it kind of made me and go into the low place. And I was telling them, I was like, every week is a burden right now. I don't know how to. And it was a 4-month stretch where it felt like that.
How did you overcome it?
So honestly, I really don't, I think God made me, that's a good question, because, okay, so I went for New Year's. I told the story the last time I preached, where I went to New Year's and we went hunting, and that stupid story that happened.
It's not stupid. I love that.
That whole week, I spent some time, because the New Year was coming up, and we were about to start a new year as a church. And so I was praying. I was like, all right, God, let this be a great year. Really. And so that whole week I spent a lot of time, and so I was really on fire. So I come back, and the first few Sundays that I'm back, it's still the same. And I go to my dad, I'm Jackson. I'm like, man, New Year. It's a new year. People, naturally, people are like, this is a fresh start. I was like, why are people still kind of dragging? Why are people still, in a low place. And so it kept happening. And I think God kind of just, I started listening to Philip Anthony Mitchell, and you've heard him. I mean,
Phenomenal preacher.
yeah, when I listened to him a few times, and his preaching really kind of would lift me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like when I was feeling down and like dragging myself, his preaching would kind of be like kind of be like a boost. And so I think God kind of just kept me busy and kind of reminded me what he wanted me to do. And instead of being like, why are they dragging? Why are people low? Like just doing my part to kind of,
Yeah.
like maybe when people show up to church struggling because of a long week where marriage was struggling or they had financial difficulties and they were just barely making it, maybe they needed me to lead them in worship and lead them and kind of help be that. And so I think God kind of just helped shift my perspective on it a little bit.
Yeah, shift the perspective to say, like, you're not doing it for them, you're doing
Yeah.
it for me.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, because I remember there was one night where I came home. I think it was after a Wednesday night, and the Wednesday night, it just felt so dead. I went in. I did my best to kind of get the kids excited and do some fun songs, and it was just dead. Kids were dragging in. Kids were not happy. Like they didn't want to play the games. Jackson was struggling, and the parents were kind of dragging in. And I came home, and I was like I went to my parents. And I was like, I don't understand. I was just crying, and I was like, Dad, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't, like, nothing's happening. Like, it feels like I'm not helping anybody. It feels like nobody's being affected by the worship. I don't know why. And he was like, I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And he goes, well, you're doing it for the Lord. Like, you're not doing it for people. You're doing it for the Lord. He's called you to do it. That's why you're doing it. And so I think that definitely.
Yeah, that was like a Holy Ghost punch in the face. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. That's why.
Yeah. I was like,
that's
oh
why
my
you're
gosh.
here. That's why you're here. One of the things that Jackson and I spoke about, because I have a high regard for you and Jackson, because you're working with the youth, right? Like, my calling is not kids at all. So I'm there on Wednesday nights because Dexter's there, but also Carrie. So I want to make sure that everybody's safe and
Yeah.
give some weirdness, right? So I'm there for that. So I hear Jackson speak. I hear you speak. So, like, what is your take on, like, this generation, as far as, like, whenever I see the generation, again, I'm 44, pushing 45, right? So I see a bunch of kids who don't, and again, I'm saying this even though I know that I was the same way, but I just didn't have a device in my hand, right? 20, 30 years ago. But, like, I see a bunch of kids that are totally and utterly distracted, but instead of being distracted by hopping on a bike and riding around the neighborhoods, they're distracted by being entertained. And so if there's not like a entertainment value to whatever, they're out, because if you're not as entertaining as the device in their hand, then, like, what are they doing there, right? So, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. I try to get it before it does it. But back to, I mean, to the question is like, what is your thoughts on this generation, like, as far as, like, reaching them?
It's tough, because I kind of have the best of both worlds in my childhood. I grew up like when the technology was just like starting to get going,
Yeah.
like the iTouches. I don't know if before the iPhones, the iTouches. I had that, and I had the games. So I had a little bit of the video games, but I also had a little bit of the before technology really blew up, and so I had kind of the best of both worlds. But for what you're talking about, like with students in this generation, it's honestly it's tough. I feel like they are deep down looking for authenticity. They're looking, like, especially with the people in the church, like the pastors and the leadership and the worship, they're looking for authenticity. But it is kind of tough to hold their attention.
Yeah.
In person, it's like it's tough to really get them to grasp. A lot of times what me and Jackson have found is getting on a video game with them.
Yeah.
And that's when they'll talk to you the most. And there's been a lot of times with the students, that's the connection I've built with a lot of the guys has been through just hopping on a video game with them. Because when they're on a video game and you're playing, and then you kind of let down some walls,
Yeah.
and they start talking to you. They start talking to you about what's going on in their life. they start talking to you about stuff that they don't even want their parents knowing, and
Yeah.
they really kind of let their guard down. So the best way for us has been able to be able to connect with them and to be able to like, hear like what they want and what they're looking for, and has been through that. But as far as like in person, it's tough because in our youth group, a lot of the kids in the youth group.
I don't, but yes.
But okay, but
I've seen them.
you've been up there, so you kind of see what what
Yeah,
we're dealing
yeah.
with. We have a lot of really good kids. They're good kids, and I think a lot of them do love the Lord. They do love God. They love Him, but they're human and they kind of get distracted and go do their own thing like everybody. But I think a lot of them are missing like just a lot when it comes to their relationship. Like me and Jackson will tell them, there's something, like some of you may know Jesus, maybe you got saved, maybe you but there's so much more that you're missing out on. Like God wants so much more for you and with you in His relationship with you, but it feels like you're kind of just going through the motions, coming to Wednesdays, having fun, and then you don't really talk, you don't really read your word, you don't talk to God throughout the week. So it's just kind of, it depends. And then some kids don't really care about it at all. They just go because their parents make them or their friends are there and they want to hang out with their friends. I think just being patient and doing your best to make that personal connection with them. And I feel like me and Jackson have gotten really good at that. We were sports guys. We grew up playing sports. But I've learned with the students, a lot of them, I found ways to connect with the kids that play sports. I found ways to connect with the kids that like music. I found ways to connect with the kids that just like video games and nothing else. And so it's just about being flexible. Wherever the kids are, go and meet them there and use that as a way to connect with them.
Yeah, there was one night where I was allowed to play Fortnite with y'all. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
I hopped in there and I was like, yeah, this place isn't for me, because it was like I didn't know what to expect, right? I've played against kids or whatever in Fortnite before, but like
It's crazy.
It was insane. Like they were talking trash, and I was like, I don't know if I can deal with this, because
I know. It's wild. Because like you'll hop in a group chat in a video game, and it's like 10, say it's 10 people, and there's like 5 middle schoolers and like 4 high schoolers and like some siblings, and they're just all talking smack. They're like everyone's yelling at once. It's chaos.
Well, it's like when the lobby's open, everybody's cordial, but when the game begins, that's like the light switch gets turned on and everyone turns into demons.
I know.
I was like, what in the world? And I know that I'm not good at Fortnite. Like, I play it because I used to play it a lot for the skins and to spend time with Dexter. We would get wins and stuff like that and high five and just enjoy the game. So I understand that I was never really that good. But then when I joined in that night, I realized how even more not good that I was. It was wild.
Some of the kids, because that's all they do.
Yeah.
That's all they do. So they're just insane. They're insane at the game.
So since you have a massive kind of understanding on the way that the gaming works, like, that you've been on Fire Resistant a few times. One of the things we've done a few times, not so much at our new location, but we went into Fortnite, and Fred and I would do random duos where we would get somebody and we would just start talking to a random person about what they think about Jesus, all that sort of stuff. So what would be your thought on maybe raising like a couple of teens that are solid in the faith to start being like digital, like missionaries?
I think that'd be cool. If you do it right, I think it could be really cool. They would have to, be strong in their faith. I feel like if you got the right people to do it, I think it'd be really cool.
Because a guy that I've met through the ministry, through Fire Resistant, his name is Missionary Gamer. And like, this dude is straight laced when it comes to his priority in gaming. Like, he literally is like, I play video games specifically to push the gospel of Jesus Christ. So he would find games that has area chat. That's how I met him. He was part of the same group that I was, just kind of extended. I kept hearing about this guy named Missionary Gamer, And then so I went into his Twitch page on a thing called Workshop Wednesday and a game called Fallout, Fallout 76. So
Yep.
Fallout 76 is area talk, and it's a kind of like an MMO kind of game. And he would go into a major city, set up shop, and anybody that came through, he's like, hey, do you want to upgrade on your weapon? And as he's upgrading on the weapon, he's talking to them about the gospel of Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. And then as we got to know each other, he bought, I forget what it is, the Quest, I think 1. I think he bought the Quest 1, and then he went into the crazy world of VR chat. And have you ever seen VR chat? It's insane.
I know, yeah.
So he went in because he was able to move his hands. I went in with the computer, so my character's always like this, right? But like we talked to, I'll never forget, right? It was like Peter Griffin, Deadpool, and like Shaggy, right? We were in this chat. We were in this room. These 3 guys from different parts of the world were chatting to each other, and we walk up, and his name is Peter in real life. Peter just walks up to him and is like, hey guys, what are you guys talking about? And they tell him what they're talking about. And he's like, hey, real quick question. I'm like, yeah, what do you think happens when you die? And then he just starts talking to them about the things of God, and like through this crazy thing of the internet. At the time he lived in Montana, like literally on the side of a mountain. And he was talking to 3 different guys from 3 different parts of the world with me, a guy from Texas, right? It's wild to see how these video games can be used. I watched them in VR chat in a game called DayZ, and then recently he started playing this game called Ark, the dinosaur game.
Yeah.
And so what he's found, and the reason I'm telling you about this is because you're young and you can be like, hey, maybe we could do something like this. But he found out through, he bought a server and he named it what he named it, and kids kept coming into his server because essentially their dad or their mom would be like, here's a PS, shut up and go, leave me alone. Right? So they would log into these games.
Yeah.
And then they would go from server to server to server, and then they would find him. And then at one point, he had probably about 10 kids that would show up almost on a daily basis to do missions with him. But before they did missions, they had to sit down and do a Bible study. So, like, there's this
crazy.
There's this screenshot because he built this like stone table, and he built up all this stuff, and it's him sitting at the head of the table with everybody, not sitting because his kids are kind of jumping around or something like that. You have all these kids around the table just having a Bible study.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool. I think it's a great idea. I think I've seen there's a guy I follow on Instagram. His name's like Theos Gaming or something like that. And it's like this British guy. And he posts like funny content. It's spiritual content, but he does it in a funny way where he'll be like, do you think God loves Fortnite? And then like he'll like go into like this whole thing, and it's like I think it's really cool. Like if for like the littler kids, I think it's great, and I think it really connects with them. And so I think if they feel like that's a calling and like a thing that they can do, I feel like it's a great, like, why not try?
Yeah, the reason why I brought it up to you is so like if later on, God puts this back on your mind and puts some kid, like Cooper would be somebody that I don't know how stable he is in his theology. And that's not a negative thing on him. I just don't know the kid. I've spoken to him about Marvel Rivals, and that was about it, right? So like somebody like him who's grown up in that world, like if he is solid in theology going into, I think he's a Call of Duty player now. So like going into Call of Duty, that whole toxic environment that Call of Duty
I would
is.
say like if you're going to do it, you really need to take some time to like prepare yourself. To prepare, not even just knowledge wise, but more like just like spiritually, like where you need to assess where yourself, like where you're at with God, like how close you are with Him.
Right.
Like, it's definitely important because you get in there, you're going to be dealing with any types of personalities, any types of people.
Everything.
Like me and Jackson have played Marvel Rivals with some of them, and you get random people, you get some toxic people.
I have my microphone turned off.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm in a game, I can't hear that.
There's been a few times where me and Jackson turned our mics off, and we're just because you get into this thing, and these people get so mad, they
Yeah.
get so angry, and they're just yelling every word, calling you every word, and just so ticked off. And you're like, okay, all right, man, we're just playing Marvel Rivals.
I'm playing quick match. Leave me alone.
You're Black Widow right now, dude. What do you
Yeah.
like? Relax.
Every time that I see Black Widow and Hawkeye, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna lose this match.
Yeah, it's like, okay, dude.
Oh my goodness. When's the last time you played that game?
Oh my, we've been so busy,
Yeah.
especially after my dad got
Yeah.
his surgery, because we had to do more at the church, and it's been maybe a month or two.
So have you seen the new characters that they dropped?
I know they dropped Blade.
Yeah.
And I know Daredevil. Is he out yet?
He's not. So Angela dropped first, and then Daredevil.
Angela.
Yeah, you have to see her. She's connected to Thor.
Okay.
She's a flying tank. So now there's something to combat Iron Man and all
I
that.
love Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
I love Marvel Rivals. So I'm gonna play soon. It's just been a while since I played. I was wanting when I saw Daredevil was coming. I was like, all right.
Well, I think you got a month and a half before Daredevil drops, but they've released Jean Grey, Phoenix, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they've released her, Blade, and then Angela. Angela is a pretty good character. I still haven't got her down yet. Blade, I can't figure out. I just get.
It's tough.
I guarantee you, people are cussing me out because I'm just like.
I have like 3 characters that I'm pretty to really good at. My best character is Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, that's
like,
my favorite
because
hero.
there's the aimbot thing, and so I feel like I'm really good with Cloak, and then I play with the Punisher sometimes because I feel like he's just fun to play with, and then I've gotten pretty good with the Thing.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Here's what-
you don't want me on your team.
Here's what I tell you. They tweaked Cloak now. She's not the where.
No,
So
like they nerfed her.
They nerfed her a little bit. So like before,
What am I gonna do?
just click and then hope that it goes. So like it follows the people that you're trying to heal, but it doesn't follow the people that are your enemies as bad. Like if it's near them, it'll still swing and hit them. But if you're not almost direct on them, it'll go past them. Because the percentage rate was like for me whenever I'd play her, because she's my favorite healer, is my percentages was like 97% hitting because it would just go wherever you told it to. Now it's like 46.
Oh my god!
But my healing is still my healing is still on point though.
Dude, there was games that I loved playing Cloak. I loved because it was so fun. Like I got really high in rank because there's a time where I was just playing it a lot, and when you get up to like, I think it was like gold maybe.
Yeah.
You start playing with like you're like okay whoa.
Those are the people that's cussing you out.
Yeah, it's like well they're just so good.
Yeah.
And so there was one game where my team and this team we're just like no one's budging, no one's killing. Every healer is just healing. Like you can't get any kills, and no one's budging. And we go to like overtime or like a second overtime where it's like sudden death. And at the end of the game, we ended up winning, and I had like 40,000 plus healing. I was like, this is insane.
That sounds amazing because most of the time, in quick play, it's usually steamroll because I play quick play more so than anything. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, shifting ADHD style on you because that's my brain. Earlier you mentioned that you had an older brother, Brady, and you have a younger brother, Brett. So I kind of mentioned this before the podcast. So like I'm gonna ask just because I know it's not gonna backfire me this time. So like growing up with 2 other brothers, like how many years older is Brady than you?
Brady is 4.5 to 5 years
Okay.
older than me.
And then how much older than you than Brett?
Okay, so Brady's 4 years older than me. I'm 5 years older than Brett.
Oh, okay. So y'all are kind of spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have asked this question to multiple people. So like, did y'all go to war? Is that what?
Yeah,
I'm
we
underst-
fought.
Yeah.
We fought for sure. And growing up, I was in a unique spot because Brett was 5 years younger than me. So for a lot of my childhood, it was just like Brady and me.
Yeah.
And I'm the middle, so Brady was older than me, and so I had the ability to kind of learn what it was like to be a younger brother. And then Brady grew up, and then Brett was 5 years younger than me, and so I had another opportunity to see what it's like to be an older brother. And Brett and Brady are very similar in a lot of ways. And so I kind of got to be the younger brother to Brady and his personality, and then I got to be the older brother to someone with a very similar personality. So I got, and I definitely fought with both of them. It was never like all three of us at once. It was usually like I'm fighting with Brady or I'm fighting with Brett or they're fighting Brady and Brett. They now they fight the most. Brady and Brett is because they're just so like strong headed and stubborn.
Yeah.
They
I wouldn't think that, because what does that mean, that there's 9 years between them? So if there's so I wouldn't think that they would go physical growing up, because there's too much of an age gap.
It was never like physical, but like Brady, and honestly, Brady and Brett never really fought growing up. It was they like
So they
once Brett got older, and Brett was like kind of turned into like his own stubborn personality. That's when they really started butting heads. For me and Brady definitely fought, because I was always a bigger kid for my age, so I was always like big enough to kind of be able to fight him, even though he was 4 years older than me, and so we would definitely fight. But our fighting wasn't like we're full blown like fist fight, because we were big wrestling fans. So like if we fought, like he'd grab me and try to like body slam me or something, and then I would like, it was more like just wrestling, and like there was rarely we would fight because we'd be ticked off at each other and we'd fight, but we were never like throwing hands. Like,
oh, okay, well then. Good for y'all.
There was never like I don't think ever in our life. I don't think Brady has ever, or myself. I don't think we ever threw like full blown punches like that. But we did fight. I mean, we definitely fought.
So the reason why I asked that question is because my brother is 3 years older than me. When October comes around, he's 4 years older than me until January, right? So there's 3 years between us, but we fought. Like I because he was older than me, he's a little bit bigger than me, as far as from a height perspective. So really the only time that I could get the advantage over him is like I used to have, if you ask my wife, I probably still have a hard head, but like I would have, that's how I would fight my brother, is like he would beat me up, but then if I could get my hands on his head, I would headbutt him.
Oh my God. The headbutt.
Yes. That's how, like.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah. So, like, for me personally, let's say let's say 100% of fights, right? My brother probably won like 85 to 90% of them, because he was older, right? He'd beat me up or whatever. There's nothing I could do. But if there was a moment
if you caught him,
if I could get him with the headbutt, that would be like the KO portion of the fight. I mean, but it wouldn't like it would. Neither one of us made each other bleed, right? It was just one of those things where like he would get mad because I would probably do something stupid, or he was in a bad mood and I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he'd come over there and like beat me up. But there was also a mixture of, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so like me and my brother were my parents' entertainment. So like my dad would egg both of us on until we fought right in front of them.
Oh my
And it always generally ended with me crying, and then my mom. So like my dad's name is James, and anytime that he was in trouble, my mom would call him Jimmy. So anytime he would get us fighting right in front of him,
Jimmy,
they would be laughing, and then whenever I would start crying or something like that, then Mom would be like, Jimmy, look what you did. It's like, even though she spent like the past 5 minutes like laughing at us fighting and wrestling and all that sort of stuff, because what my dad would do is, we watch wrestling, right? And so what we were trying to do while we were fighting, in front of them, it wasn't like, it was like wrestle fighting, right? So my dad would be the ref. So like if my brother got me down where my shoulders are down, he'd be like, 1, 2. But as soon as if I got any sort of edgement, I'd go 1, 2, 3. Aaron wins. And that would be the end of
the Montreal screw job.
Yeah, basically. Only it was the East Texas screw job, where my brother would get mad and he would come for vengeance.
That's so funny. It's funny because when I got older and Brett got older, when me and him would fight, he was always smaller.
Yeah.
And so he'd be it'd be like a spider monkey. Like he'd jump on me and I would throw him off, and then he'd jump on me again and I keep throwing him off. It was just so funny.
It's like Hulk versus Spider-Man, like Pewdie,
A lot of times, like we'd be wrestling like for fun, and like I would because he was so small and light, I'd like throw him on it, like, and like body slam him a little bit too hard, and he gets so ticked off, and he'd just jump on me, and I'm like throwing him off, and he's just like this little, because he was so much smaller than me, and so I was able to kind of like just throw him off with one hand, and he kept it was just so funny. And then when we'd make up, like we'd fight, we wouldn't talk to each other for like 2 hours. And then one of us would be like watching TV, and we'd just go sit down and watch TV.
That's the way it should be.
We'd never be like, we never really were like, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. It's
never,
like a sibling thing.
Yeah. It was just like we'd just start watching TV again.
It's like an understanding where like, okay, we had this moment. There's probably going to be another moment. It may be in 5 minutes, but for this moment, it's just like we're good. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, you were one of three, and I spoke to your dad about this topic too, but like your viewpoint of being a pastor's kid, like what was your journey growing up, and were you seeing expectations put on you that, or were you kind of oblivious to a point of that?
So this conversation is a lot of people. My answer surprises people, because when they hear that I'm a pastor's kid, they're like, man, you probably hated church. You probably had a lot of resentment. I didn't. I loved church. I loved growing up in church. I never once was like, I want to leave church. I'm done with this. I'm tired. I never felt like that at all. I loved church. I grew up, like before we moved up here, when we lived in Deer Park with all of my cousins and all of my friends, and I just loved it. My grandparents being the pastor, and then my uncles and my dad, and like I grew up. That's all I knew, and I loved it. I loved being at the church. When I was at the church, I had was with my family. I was with my cousins, my friends, and it was fun. Like we'd go up to and so all I knew about church was it being fun. Right. I never had, especially when I was little, I never felt any. I never felt like there's expectation on me, because that's just all I knew.
Right.
I knew as I got older, I knew people were watching me, and I knew that. I learned the hard way when we moved up here. My dad took the church in Irving, and they were having a business meeting. Like we hadn't been there at like maybe 5 or 6 months, and I'm in like second grade or something, and they have a business meeting, and everyone was in there, and this is like old school style. And there was something where he asked, and he's like, "Raise your hand if you oppose," and I was being funny, and I was like, and my dad looked over at me. And like straight face. Like my dad, I usually am able to get my dad to laugh, even when I'm in trouble. That's why he was never able to like I got spanked growing up. My dad was never able to do it, because I would be able to get him to laugh. It would have to be my mom. But in this moment, my dad looked over at him. He's like, and so in that moment, I realized, okay, people are watching me, and what I do and what I say is a lot more like, there's a lot more expectation. Yeah. But I never resented. Even today, I'm a single worship leader, pastor's son. I know people watch me. I know they watch how I act and how I treat people. And, and I've never had resentment because of it. I've always loved church. I've never had a bad experience in church.
Yeah, well, that's good, because I know that, I think your dad spoke of, the eyes being on him and his brothers and sister, that they kind of all knew that there was an expectation of them, which it's good, but it's also bad, because there's part of your childhood that gets taken away, right? Because so all the memories you have of having fun is what church life is supposed to be. Just because your dad's a pastor shouldn't change that, but. Like we spoke about earlier, as far as the pedestal for pastors, like for whatever reason, the kids are thrown into that as well. So it makes me happy that you had none of that involvement in. And I think it's also partially you didn't feel it till you were out of Central, because like of your grandpa and your uncles and stuff like that. So it was like there was like this hometown love, right?
Yeah.
Everybody understood.
And there was so much of our family.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just like focus on us. It was like I had a whole bunch of cousins that were there, and so it wasn't like all the attention was on me. When we moved up and he took the church in Irving, and we were like the family, that's when I finally
You're like,
felt.
what is this feeling? What is this weight on
it
my
was like
shoulders? Yeah.
And it never really felt like a weight on my shoulders. It just felt like, I don't know why. It just felt like I knew people were watching me.
Yeah.
I knew, but I know myself. I did stupid stuff, and
We all did.
I was an idiot kid, and I would like be crazy. But I don't know. I think a lot of it, God kind of protected us, and He put the right people in our lives, especially when we moved up and we felt like people were watching us. He put like Jackson. We met him, and Alex. I don't know if you know Alex. He moved up to Connecticut.
Okay.
But we grew up with all these kids. He put these kids in our lives, and they were our best friends. And they would come to church with us every Sunday, every Wednesday, and so we were always with them. And it kind of was the same thing as when we were at Central. It was like we just loved being at church because we were with our friends.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. And so when people would look at us, we were never really alone. We always had people with us, like our friends, and I don't know. God really just blessed us. I look back at all my memories in church, and it's so, like I wouldn't have changed it. People ask like if you could grow up any different. I wouldn't have. I loved it. I had like a blast growing up in church.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you had those memories. One thing that when you brought up your grandpa, I think you do know, but I don't know how much you know. But like I have so many phenomenal memories with your grandpa. I remember I have forgotten so many things in my life, but I can recall like one of the very first times I met your grandpa, and I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "I'm Sharon, my mom's maiden name's kid," and he was just like, "Oh, really?" And he just chatted me up, and because whenever I go to Deer Park, like since we didn't have a lot of money, my parents would send me to my grandma's house, and then Tim and Julie would basically kind of take me to the Civic Center where I could go to the pool and all that sort of stuff. So, and then on Wednesday nights and Sunday nights, they would take me to church, and I would be part of VBS. So, like one of the things that's funny is like, so I have so many memories of your Uncle Darren.
Yeah.
Like he has a very special place in my heart. For
VBS?
For VBS, right?
The goofy characters?
Yeah, all of it, every part of it. And then, but I told your dad this, and we both think it's funny. I have zero memories with your dad. Zero. None. Zero.
Crazy.
Because like I told him, because so.
And that tracks. That's just who he is.
Well, yeah, there could be that too. But like when I think about it, right, just because I don't have any memory specifically of him, that doesn't mean he wasn't there. That's the thing that perplexes my mind the most. It's like, so Christy and I got married in the building that we go to church in. So we got married in Park Glen. So our honeymoon was a cruise ship in Galveston. So we got married on a Saturday. We drove down to Deer Park so that way we could see my grandma because she wasn't well enough to drive up here. So we were driving. So we told her, said we're going to go to church and then we'll come over afterwards and spend the day with you. So we drove down, and then the next morning we go to Central. And the very first sermon we ever heard as a married couple was your grandpa.
Really?
Yeah. And that was, that's because like when we went there, we're like, hey, well, let's go, we're going to go to Central. We're going to wake up. We're going to start our marriage off right by going to church, right? So we went there. And when I talk about that moment, because it was 2004, your dad told me that y'all were still there. So when your grandpa got up there and preached, those 4 seats that were always behind him, your dad had to be sitting in one of those seats, right? So it's always blows my mind.
Crazy.
That like he was there, and I don't have any memories with your aunt either, but it's just it was just Darren. So
Yeah.
but it was just when we talk about that, it's just always so funny because like I don't you definitely weren't alive, but maybe they had him back before, but they would always have this guy that ripped phone books. He was kind of a bigger guy, so like your dad remembers all these stories, all these stories of me and VBS with all these people they had over there. He's like, yeah, I remember that guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
so you were there.
You were there. And I was like, the only way that he would remember me, because, I was a punk little kid. Well, not punk, but I was a little kid, is in the gymnasium, there used to be, I don't know if it still exists or not, but there was a pool table in the gymnasium. And it was a pool table where when you shot the ball in the corner or any of the holes, it had the system that shot it out at the
Yeah.
at the back of the
Yeah.
pool table. Guy shoots the ball in the pocket. I'm like, I'll grab it, and I stick my hand inside of the pool table to try to catch the ball, and my arm gets stuck. So like my Uncle Tim and I don't remember anybody else being a part of it, but my arm, it was stuck all the way up to here, and I'm crying my eyes out, and they were putting like butter or something here trying to get my arm out. It was a wild experience. I told your dad, I was like, that has to be the only memory. If you remember anything about the one kid that gets his arm stuck in a pool
Oh
table.
my gosh, that's so crazy.
But no, he doesn't remember that because he wasn't one of the guys that helped me. But it's just funny to think about, because your dad showed me a photo of all my aunts and I think my Uncle Jesse, right? Because your grandpa was their youth director, and I was just like, that is the craziest photo ever.
It's wild. That is. And like kind of what you were talking about, growing up in church, I think a lot of it with like the people that were leading, like my Sunday school teachers and my Uncle Darren, like the worship, and like growing up in Central as a kid, I just loved it. I didn't see anything wrong. Like I was a kid. When you're a kid, you don't see issues and problems and all this stuff. So all the people like VBS, the workers, it's just people. If God put the right people
Yeah.
to make it an awesome experience for me. And like now, He's allowed me to kind of be a part of like the youth, and I have a unique opportunity to kind of to be a part of their experience with church. And maybe like one day, like when they're in their 30s and 40s and they look back on their church life growing up as a kid, they look back at it as a fond, like they're like, oh, that was so fun. Blair, like in Jackson, and all the people they made church a place that I loved being at. And so I think it's cool, and it's a cool opportunity that God has given me in that.
So do we want to put Dexter on the spot? Is he going to look back and say that?
Say what?
He's not listening.
He's not listening. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he does. When you're 40 years old, are you going to look back and say, "Man, that time with Blair was awesome"?
Yeah.
Okay, see.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I thought was that me and your dad laughed about was, I went to VBS, at Central, and then now I'm a part of VBS at Second Mile, right? But it's the funny part about it is I don't feel called to assist with kids just because I can't. If my kids mess up, then I can verbally correct them, and I know because I raised them right, then they'll alter their course. But like somebody else's kid, I'm like, if I'm afraid of like, I'm like, hey, stop doing that, because there was one time like Chris, he told a kid, put down the pizza and get to small groups, and the kid looked at him and goes, and I was like, I wasn't a part of that, but like I was ready, so I don't want to, like, I don't ever want to deal with that. But
It's tough.
But
Patience.
right, that's fruit of the spirit, right? So I don't have that with kids, but like for me, watching them, like the first 2 years, first 3 years, I was actually part of VBS. The past 2 years, I've been rolling with security, but like it's been a blast every time. I told your dad that there's a children's pastor that I met through the Fire Resistant podcast, and when I told him, he is head over heels for kids, right? He loves kids and give them the gospel and all that sort of stuff. There was one night he was telling me all the stuff that he's done, right, as a or as a kids pastor. I'm like, bro, I was like, you're making up for me not wanting to be a part of that. He's like, you'll be a part of it. So every year that I'm in VBS, you'll see me go on there and I'll take a picture, and I automatically just text it to him, and he just so he sees that
That's crazy.
that I'm in there doing VBS.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but he's done a lot of crazy stuff, like gimmicks and games and pie. I know you've taken several pies to the face too.
You do what you got to do.
So let me ask you this: the pie thing, like, is that your idea, or does somebody come up and then you're like, I got to do it because I'm
No, it's
Blair?
not my idea. So this goes a lot in the church, in our church. When we do stuff, people come up to me and ask me if I'll do something, and like I said, you kind of you go with it. I learned a long time ago, being a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just got to roll with it. If someone asks you to do something, just go with it and do it, and whatever. And so every time it's been like the day of, like 10 minutes before, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna pie you. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Sure." And so they'll put me on a trash bag, and the kid is like winding up, and I'm like, "Wait, this wasn't a part of the deal."
Yeah.
You just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah, because those kinds of games we reserve for church camp, like doing it in the sanctuary, stuff like that. That's a special kind of a love for these kids because, like, this year I specifically remember, like, I'm out there in the area where I'm supposed to be as security or whatever you want to call it. And then, like, someone was like, I think it was, did you get pied this year or was it Jackson or
It was
both?
me.
Okay, because, yeah.
It was bad this year.
Yeah, that's what it was because, like, when you're about to get pied, I remember people being like, "Oh, Blair's about to get pied," and then like this exodus from the outside of the sanctuary into the sanctuary for this moment, and I'm like, "Wow, okay." Everybody wants to see him get pied in the face. Like, what did Blair do to everybody? For him?
What's this about?
Yeah, why does everybody want to see this happen? But like you said, it's part of the deal. Also, I wanted to talk about. So this year, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first year where you and the rest of Second Mile Band were asked to do church camps. Like, what is the big difference, if there is, between the church camp where you run it versus being asked to do it?
When you're asked to do it, it's not your camp, and so you got to kind of like we didn't know what kind of churches were going to be there. We didn't know if it was going to be Baptist or like Pentecostal or like we didn't know. You don't know what you're walking into.
Right.
Like we know who we are and we know what we're gonna like, what worship we're gonna bring. But when you go out there and you don't know who's like, we knew Camp Wild, we know their people, we're close with them, and so. But they just said churches. They didn't say any kind of denomination. So we didn't know what to expect, and we put together a kind of like risky set the first night. We opened up with "Might Get Loud" by Elevation, and that's like a boom song. We were like, this is gonna be so fun, but like we were like, what if we get up there and it's like a bunch of Pentecostals and like the whole place just flips upside down, and we're like, oh no.
Well, technically it'd be oh yeah for them, right?
Yeah, I know. So we didn't know what when it's not your camp, you don't know what to expect there. But it was really. We just wanted to, like, obviously when you're asked, we just wanted to do our best for the people who's running the camp. Like, they're asking us, they're paying us to come out there and lead their worship. And so we wanted to serve them as best we could. When it's your own camp, you're worried about everything.
Yeah.
And you're worried about, like, getting the speakers and getting them on time, and you're worried about your own kids and making sure your small groups, and then you're worried about all the other churches and what they're doing, and you're worried about what the worship team's doing, and you're worried about the big concert and all the games and all the stuff. So, like me and Jackson at our camp, we're everything in the service. So we're taking care of the games, making sure all the props are there. Then the worship team, making sure they're good, and then making sure the pastor's ready and he has all his notes and all that stuff. So you're worried about so much. When we went up, me and Jackson took our kids. It was just us with the kids. And so you're like, you want to make sure they're good because it was like 600 plus students. And so it's like, hey, don't get overwhelmed. Like, don't freak out. Because this was like the biggest thing that they've ever done in their life. Because it was like the biggest crowd I've ever led.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I was trying to make sure they were good. So the difference is, not really going in without any expectation. We had no idea what to expect. And so I told the kids the whole time leading up to it, I was like, hey, I don't know what we're getting into. I just know there's going to be a lot. We're going to do what God's called us to do. We're going to do our best regardless of what happens. And it went awesome. It was so cool. It was the first time I'd ever gotten to lead a camp in worship and getting to take the students, and it was one of the most fun weeks of my life, and also like one of the most like blessings, because it was just so cool getting to like lead the camp and lead other students in worship, but also I got to lead our students, and like they kind of were like looking at me and following me, and like I got to spend so much time with them, It was so cool.
So from what you're saying, it's like when when it's y'all's A3, there's a ton of stress, whereas when you do it somebody else, you just got to show up and lead worship. So yeah, it sounds awesome. Because if I remember correctly, this summer, like you did, what was it? I think you did A3. You came to church, led worship, and then left again.
No,
and
I
then
didn't lead. I didn't lead worship. So we did A3, and we get off the bus, and I immediately get in my car and I drive to the next camp.
That's what it was, yeah. So, and then what did you come back the following week? Because I could have swore there was one week where like nobody had time to sleep and everybody was still up there leading worship. Am I
They were
misremembering that?
no. The camp service they got up and led the worship that I wasn't there. I sent in a video, but I know they were all really dead that week. But I was gone, so we got back from camp A3, and as soon as we got off the bus, I immediately got in my car and drove. And I met my cousin Bryson. I was leading the camp with him, and I went through church camp again, which that was crazy. That was like the most tired I've ever been in my life. Like usually I'm like a go with it.
Yeah.
At the end of that week, it was the most tired I've ever been in my life.
So when you are just in charge of doing the worship music but nothing else, like are you able to sleep in? Or
No, because they have morning services, so you can't just show up at the morning service. You have to go to a sound check and make sure and the sound checks take a while because each individual person in the band has to make sure their stuff is good and it sounds good, and then you go through all the songs, and so you have to get the sound checks probably at like 7:38.
Yeah.
And then that's for like an hour and a half. And it's so long, by the time you're done, it's like you can't really do anything before the service because it starts in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can go to the chow hall and eat real quick and then turn around and
Yeah,
come back.
and so you do the service, and then we'd go get lunch, and then you kind of, you depending on what you do for lunch, you come back, maybe you can take a nap, but you have sound check at like 4.
Wow.
And so then you do that, and then by the time you're done with that, you're kind of getting ready for the night service, and you start all over again the next day. So by the end of that week,
Yeah.
I was dead.
Yeah.
I remember the last service of the camp, we got up, and they asked us to do like 7 songs. And we got done, and the kids were like, "One more song," and we're like, "Okay." And so we're like, "Okay." So we did 8 songs.
Wow.
8 songs that
Yeah.
last night, and I remember us walking off the stage. I remember like we were like, I had to drive home that night, and I was like at 2 hours away,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Dude, this is the most tired I've ever been in my life."
It's like that's where you are thankful for energy drinks, even though at that point you're probably so tired that energy drinks don't do anything. You're just
Oh my gosh, I was running on fumes.
Yeah.
I remember like I'd played sports my whole life. I'd gone to baseball tournaments where I'm playing 4 baseball games in a day. That was the most like I was like it wasn't just I was like tired, like sleep tired. I literally had no energy. Like it was like I don't know if you've ever felt that. Like my energy levels was just like I was depleted. I had nothing. And I was like, I don't think I could. If they would have chanted one more song,
Yeah.
I would have been like, I don't know if I can give y'all one song.
Your body would have figured it out. But like, so, okay, so let's go to that night. So you have your 7 songs planned.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're chanting one more song, like what pool do you pull that out of?
So okay, so we had like I can't remember the number of songs that we had practiced the entire week to prepare. But so we went up with 6 songs that we were for sure doing, and the guys told us before the last service, they were like, "Hey, have some prepared in case the moment goes long and we need y'all to kind of." We're like, okay. So we had 6 songs that we were for sure doing, and then we had 2 or 3 that we had done earlier in the week that we had already known really well and practiced a million times that we could just jump into and do. And so we just had those ready and waiting just in case, and we just did those.
Yeah. God, I just, yeah.
And it was easy because it was Bryson.
Yeah.
He's an insane instrumental, guitar player. So it was him, 2 other guys playing the electric guitar, and then a drummer, and then me and Bryson were singing. So I only had to worry about the singing.
Yeah.
They were so talented, like they could play any song on.
You could just turn around and be like, hey, I need to play like
Yeah.
Firm Foundation, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're playing it.
Yep.
That's
So
nice to have.
and we had so much fun, and like it was cool, like because usually I'm the one leading and I have to lead the band. It was cool, like they were all so talented. It was, I don't, I said this and I don't mean this in an arrogant way or like a prideful way. I was the like by far the least talented person on the stage, and so it was really cool, like leading, and also being led by them, and it was interesting. It was just a cool,
Okay.
really cool experience.
Another question I thought of is, is you had mentioned your cousins and being so close to them. So like, I grew up where we were basically isolated for the first parts of our lives because we were out in East Texas, and then we moved to a city called Mineola, which is still East Texas, and then we moved here into the DFW area whenever I was in like the 4th or 5th grade, and so like I've never had the opportunity to be close to like my cousins like ever.
Yeah.
So like I've had a relationship now with Tim Paul, if you even want to call it a relationship, like, but that's like I've had a relationship with him from like afar off. Like my cousin Zach is kind of like from afar off, but like it seems like how does that even happen where because what how many because you have what like six cousins?
On my dad's side,
Yeah.
oh, it's a lot because
Oh.
I have his brother Timmy and his
I
wife's
for-
Debbie.
I forgot
their
about
kids.
their kids. Yeah, I forgot
So their
about
kids. Then you have Andy and Laura, their
Yeah.
kids, and then you have Darren and Jenny, their kids.
I forgot about them too.
And so there was a lot of us,
Yeah.
and so we just grew up together.
Yeah.
And we grew up in church, and that's why it was so fun. Like when we were kids, we didn't know about anything. We didn't know about it. We didn't see anything wrong with church or anything like
Right.
going around us. We just saw each other. Like we were staying the night at all of each other's houses, like on Saturday night, going to church,
Yeah.
then going back over to someone's house, and just like we weren't just cousins. We were just best friends.
Yeah, because y'all are all kind of close in age, right?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I was in a unique spot because like Brady and Jared, my cousin, Laura's son, and all the guys, they were all kind of close in age, and so they were super close. Then there was the girls. There was only 3 girls, 3 girl cousins, and so they were close. And so I'm kind of in the middle. Like Brett is younger, and so him, Luke, and Timmy's youngest son, Charlie, were always super close. Bryson is close with Brady and Jared, and so I'm kind of in the middle. Like I'm still young to where like it's the guys are like, no, we don't like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so I would find myself kind of just me and Lexi, Laura's daughter. Me and her would hang out a lot of the time, and we were kind of caught in the middle. But at the end of the day, like it was just so fun. We all would all end up hanging out. We'd go on trips together.
That sounds awesome.
And so it was a lot of fun. Our parents did a good job of giving us the opportunity to grow up with each other.
Yeah, so like my mom's sister Tina had 4 kids, and we would see them from time to time, but I literally have no connection with them. So when you see such a big family that were so close, I'm like, how did we even accomplish that? But then like it was just the fact that y'all were kind of all in the same, or y'all were going to the same church for a while. I didn't even think about that, that y'all were all at the same church for a large portion of your life. So that kind of answers the question, just because, you know, if my cousin Zach calls me up, of course I'm going to show up and do my best to help him out. Or if any of the other people, you know, call me up and say they need my help, of course I'm going to try to do that. But yeah. Another question that kind of pops into my head is my Aunt Julie. Like, how much did you ever have any interactions with her at all?
I remember Tim Paul and his parents growing up, because I remember I had a great relationship with Tim Paul because he was always super, like usually when someone's a lot older than you, like they'll tease you, and Tim Paul never really was like that. He was always super cool. Like he always would make jokes with me, and like every time I saw him at church, it was just fun to be around. And I remember his mom. I remember her a lot. I don't remember if she was like a Sunday school teacher for me, or if I just remember her. I remember her vividly. I just can't remember in what context. Like I just remember her being at church when I was young, when we still lived in Deer Park. So yeah, I definitely remember them all the time.
Yeah, because she was, you know, of course, my mom is a foundational woman in my life, of course, but like Aunt Julie was one of those pillars, right?
Yeah.
That's like my mom foundation in church got me the understanding of who and what God is and all that. But then like you have during the summertime, like all this time spent with Tim and Julie, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just didn't know because since y'all spent more time with her and all that,
Yeah. I definitely remember.
She's cool. Like one of the last texts she sent me was she texted me and she said, "What's your daughter's name? I'm praying for your family and I wanna pray for her name specifically." Just a
That's cool.
random text. And I've switched phones since then, so the text is gone, but it's always it's like one of those memories that I know that'll never
Yeah.
go away just because she was important. You know, I say that, but then like as an adult, you get caught up in your lives, you don't keep track as much, and then like we were going down there basically every summer because I had people graduating, so we'd go down there for Tim Paul's graduation and then Zach's graduation and then a couple others, but we'd see them about once a year, but that was about it. And yeah, so I just didn't know if you had any memories of her, but she was a cool lady.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember her all the time growing up.
How many years were you different, or I guess Tim Paul is older than you, right? Do you
Way
know?
older than me.
Way older. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he had that's what was cool is Tim Paul. Do you know how old he is right now?
I don't. Maybe.
He's got to be at least 6, 7, or 8 years older than me.
I don't think so. I don't think he's that close to me in age.
He's older than Brady.
Okay.
I know he's older than Brady, I believe.
Okay, well maybe he's
Yeah,
older.
no,
Maybe he's older than what I think.
He's older than Brady because Tim Paul was close with Bryson. He was around Bryson's age. I think he might even be older than Bryson. Maybe.
Okay.
And Bryson was older than Brady.
And is Bryson the one that was in his wedding?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And so he's got to be 6, 7, 8 years, even 8 years older than me.
Okay.
So he was always a lot older than me, but he always treated me like really well. And me and him had I just had a lot of fun memories with Tim Paul in the gym and like playing like basketball or something stupid. And it was just So I grew up with Tim Paul, and I have a memory where I went over to Tim Paul's house, maybe with like some of my brothers or my cousins or something, and I was hanging out, and I remember Tim Paul's dad like taking me to like pet like horses or something. And it's like a weird memory, and I was super young. Yeah, I was super young, but I remember it vividly. And I remember your Aunt Julie being there. It's because I was super young. It's like I remember it, but it's fuzzy.
Yeah.
But I remember going over to their house, hanging out, and like I went over like with Tim Paul's dad, and we were like petting horses and stuff. But yeah, it was cool. I have good memories.
Yeah. Well, it's I know she's a phenomenal woman of God, and she's in heaven right now worshiping, and it was wild because we saw her, I want to say probably about 4 months before we went to Galveston, just because we were, I think, let's see, what, it was COVID, because she died, I think in December of 21, I think is when she passed away.
It's been that long?
Yeah, because she died, I want to say 2 weeks after your grandparents did.
It's been that long? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to say it felt like it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, because I remember going to your grandparents' funeral over in Grand Prairie, and your dad come up to me and say, "Hey, I just heard about Julie. How are you doing?" All that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was
Wild.
yeah, it's wild that it's been that long, but she's in glory. But the last time we saw her, we went to Galveston to spend the weekend there to get out of the COVID house or whatever, and she was we just hung out with her for a little bit, and she's like, "All right, y'all have a good time. See you next time." And there wasn't a next time, so. But it's definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as like ministry work, like where do you see? Because you had mentioned that you were kind of pushing against the grain. Where do you see yourself? Where do you think God's taken you?
Like taking me in the future?
Yeah. You can say, I don't know. I'm just.
No. What's so cool is it started off as just God telling me, hey, your dad, Jackson, they need you. Your church needs your help. Go help them. And so I stepped in. I was like, hey, I can lead the worship. And then I was still I was studying to be an actor. I was still doing acting classes. And I did that for a while. I kind of did both, half and half. And I was for sure, like, I wanted to be an actor. I loved it. I fell in love with acting. I fell in love with sitcom acting. Like, I grew up watching Three's Company with my dad. And that sounds funny, but that was just like we watched old TV shows. And I watched Gilligan's Island and like stuff like that. And I loved just like the sitcom. And I loved like the I Love Lucy, like her style of like physical comedy. I just loved that. And I felt like I could do it. And so I studied to be an actor, and I kept doing auditions and stuff while I was being the worship leader, while I was helping with the youth. And all that time, I never saw myself as someone in the ministry. I just saw myself as someone helping out.
Right.
And I remember one Wednesday, Jackson, everybody's getting ready for Wednesday Night Youth. I have an audition in Austin. So I'm driving, and I remember their youth had started, and I'm on my way to Austin, and I get a call from one of the students, and the students was like, "Oh my gosh, where are you at? You're not at youth tonight? We were wanting you to be here. We were going to have so much fun." And I hung up the phone, and I remember like God speak to me in that. Like, I was like, I'm on my way to do something for me. Like, God has put me in this church. There's kids that wanted me there tonight at church that I could have had an impact on, that I could have like really connected with. And I decided to go to an audition like that's like something that I'm doing for me. I kept telling myself I was doing it for God, but deep down I knew I was doing it for me. I was doing it for selfish reasons. And so after that, I decided I was like, all right, I'm done. I'll stop the auditions. I'll stop that, and I'm gonna. If God wants me here, I'll do it full time. And over time, He allowed me to fall in love with just the ministry, doing like with the church and like the people and like helping with the students and leading worship. I just fell in love with it. And so now going forward, what God has me, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a human. I'm not God. So I could say I'm going to be at Second Mile for the rest of my life, and I'm just going to do it. It's so fun. God ultimately might have me somewhere else. Like, but I love it, and however long He allows me to do it, I'm going to do it until He calls me somewhere else or tells me to go somewhere else. I love the church. I love the people. I love just how I was telling my dad this. It's crazy. Like people, because I'm single. I'm a single 25-year-old leader in a church. Yeah. It's kind of a weird spot. It's a tough spot. People are like, how do you like? People ask me all the time. They're like, how do you like with everything going on in churches around the country, and how do you keep yourself? I was like, the way our church is, it's even if I was tempted to do anything in secret, it's impossible for me to do anything in secret without people knowing, because I'm so surrounded at all times by parents, by young adults, by other people in the church, by like students. Like, I'm so surrounded. There's no way for me to have any secret thing. And so God has really blessed me, and it's a good thing. Like, He's really blessed me with so many people that either rely on me or that just want to be in my life, where like so many people just know me. And so it's honestly so cool through falling in love with the ministry and being in this church, just how much God has put in my life. And a lot of times, like, I'll be like, I've told you this before, I struggle. I want to get married. And so I'm like, when am I going to get married? I haven't met the right person. When is God going to allow me to get married? A while back, I was in a really bad spot with that. I was just at a low place. I was struggling. I was praying. And then God like revealed to me, like, I started thinking about it. I was like, He's given me so many people, a community of so many people that a lot of people don't have. I have a family that loves me. I have 80 plus students that love me on Wednesday nights, that just love me being in their life. And every time I see them, they act like they're so excited to see me. I have family and friends in the church that love me, that just every time I see them, they just love being in my life. And so God is really He's blessed. I don't have a wife, but He's given me so much that a lot of people don't have. And so I started really focusing on that.
Well, I can promise you, we pray that God sends you a woman that makes your ministry even bigger and better, no matter what it is. So you got people outside the walls of even your direct family that are praying because, you know, I know it's tough because, you know, people see you as single and then their first thought is, I need to fix them up. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not the way that it works,
Yeah.
right? I mean, sure, it could work that way, or just people get the wrong idea about your intentions or something like that. I'm so glad that I'm married for 21 years or 20 years because I don't have to worry about that. I have a buddy that got divorced and he got into the dating pool. It's wild out there.
I talk with the students, the young adults, and dating in the culture today is so crazy and it's just wild. It's so weird. And so I don't even, like, people ask me for advice. I don't even know the best way to do it right now because it's so hard. Like, I feel like the best way is to meet people in, like, your church community.
Yeah.
And I told people this, I'm a leader in the church. And so it's like, I'm kind of like, it's just weird. I'm in such a weird spot.
Well, did Brady meet his wife at DBU?
He did.
And then I know Brett's not married, but Brett's got a longtime girlfriend that he met at DBU.
Yep.
Sounds like you need to go to DBU.
That's another thing. It's so weird. I'm in a weird spot because I'm 25.
Yeah.
And so any girl that I've talked to is usually in the college age. And so God has put me where he's put me. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm in a place where I'm doing what God's called me to do. I'm doing what my purpose is. The girls in the college age, they're like, I'm just still figuring out what I'm supposed to do. I'm kind of going to school. I want to travel. There's a lot of things I want to do. I'm still figuring out things. And so we're in completely different areas of life. And so then already it's another thing where it's like, it's just weird.
Yeah. There's somebody somewhere. I know it. I know it.
Everybody tells me that. It's just, I really, honestly, it's been really, over the last year, God has really taken away that burden. Like, yes, I want to get married, but I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm not constantly being like, God, where is she? Why? Because he's allowed me to focus on so much that he has given me, like the new opportunity at the college and just all the stuff that he has put in my life. It's been like, my life is so full. It's like, I don't focus on things that I don't have.
Right. And what we pray for is just expanding on what you said you're saying that your life is full. So like going forward, we'll pray that not only does he provide someone to you, but also that fits as a perfect piece into that, because dating, disrupts things to a degree, because the fact that like you're dating, but like your time is already spread out, and then now all of a sudden there's this piece in there. You have this girl that you're interested in, and then all of a sudden like now you gotta fit this person into your world. And I've
been praying, like, not just for myself. I pray for God to give me a great girl to be a great wife to me, but I pray for God to give me someone who will love the students as much as I do. Because if she's going to be married to me, she's going to be around them.
Yeah.
So I pray for God to give me someone who will love them as much as I love them, and who they'll love, who the students will love. I pray for God to give me someone who will love our church and love the people as much as I do, who the church will love. Like, my biggest fear, because I'm being watched, everybody sees.
Yeah.
So like, if I start dating somebody and it's just not the right person, it's not going to be good. And so I people ask me all the time, why are you still single? Why? Like, I'm just not being picky, but I'm just letting God kind of work in his own way. I don't want to get ahead of him. I don't want to, just because I want something, just because like I want to get married and I want this because of this, I don't want to get ahead of God.
Well, here's what I'll tell you is people are going to be people, and people generally, even in the church, are awful. So it doesn't matter what anybody tells you. Right, even me, whenever I say be as picky as you want to be, right? Because if you settle, right, then that could come back to haunt you. If you're listening to what other people are telling you, right, to a degree, that's just gonna drive you crazy. So the way I look at it is, keep doing what you're doing. It'll happen. I can promise you, if a slub like me could get married, I know it's been 20 years ago, you'll get there.
It's been really good. I really, the burden of worrying about getting married has really
Yeah.
been lifted off me. I don't worry about it anymore. God really took it from me. And if it was because he just made me more busy, or if my life is filled with so many people, and I have so many great relationships and friendships and people that love me. And so my heart and my life is so full. I don't really have time to dwell on what I don't have. And so it's been really cool.
Praise
really
God
good.
for that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the show, and one of the questions, and Christy and I ambushed you, I don't know, probably like a year and a half ago or something like that, with a question. So now I'm going to jump you with the same question.
I don't remember it.
You're going to remember it as soon as I ask it,
Oh,
because
no.
it's a joke between me and her. So, okay, you have to pick.
Oh no.
Who's your favorite, me or Christy?
Oh my gosh. Y'all can't. My relationship with y'all is so different.
I know.
My relationship with her is like my go-to, like, for worship.
Yeah.
Anytime I need somebody. Oh my! Y'all are gonna make me answer this?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's just a joke question, because like, like the way that when we talk about you, I'm like, hey, my best friend's coming over today, and then earlier on in the day, she's like, did my best friend text you and tell you that he was coming over?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And I told her that. I was like, I'm going to ask him again. This time it's going to be on record, because the last time that I asked, it was kind of like at church. You were kind of halfway, because you're being pulled so many different ways when you're in church, but like this time it's face to face. Like you have
Oh my god! I remember y'all asking that now. That's so funny.
Because it's just a joke that we have, just because, again, she, like you literally just said, like, your relationship with her is all worship and music based, which is awesome. And then us, we have like this, where we talk about kind of pop culture, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I told her I was going to ask you, and I wonder, hopefully she was able to hear that. If not, then she'll hear it when she listens to this. But another question, quick shots. Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Who's your top 4 wrestlers of all time?
Okay, I have personal ones, because
It's yours. It's your Mount Rushmore. It can be
growing
whoever.
up, part of the reason I love superheroes was growing up. I told you this. I wasn't allowed to watch the Attitude Era. My dad didn't let me, so he had me growing up on the '80s and like the retro era. And so growing up, I saw Hulk Hogan as like a superhero. I loved Hulk Hogan. One of my first memories of wrestling was Macho Man is getting beat by the Heart Foundation and Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
He beats Macho Man over the head with a guitar, and Hulk Hogan comes running down the aisle with Elizabeth. She went and ran and got Hulk Hogan. And I remember watching that. I thought he was a superhero. I thought it was so cool. And so I got to put Hulk Hogan in there, because he's the reason I watch wrestling.
Yeah.
He's the reason I fell in love with wrestling. I got to put Hulk Hogan. I would put Shawn Michaels. I think he's the greatest wrestler of all time. If
Really?
not, one of them. I think he's one of them. I get that there's a lot of. Oh my gosh, I have so many. I have so many favorites. I love Bret Hart. That's so tough. I'd put Stone Cold in there, because he changed wrestling. He saved wrestling. So Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold. I got to do Shawn Michaels. Because like the when he would I grew up doing that pose. The pose in my mirror was.
I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan.
And I'd say Undertaker. Oh my god, but Ric Flair. That's so tough.
You got to put 4 on there, but so.
Okay. Because I grew up with him, I got to do Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and I have to do Cena. I have to, because I agree. Growing up with my brothers, he was what we watched.
Yeah.
We watched. John Cena, and so
what was his era? The Ruthless Aggression era.
Yeah. We watched John Cena, so I got to put him in there.
Okay, so mine, right, it's Hulk Hogan, because if there was no Hogan, there is no discussion at all, right? Regardless of how you feel about his personal life and the mistakes that he made. So it's Hulk Hogan. then it's for me, it's The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Right, because he was such a staple for so long, right?
Gotta put
And then
him in
you
there.
have Stone Cold Steve Austin because I grew up watching '80s wrestling. That's when I fell in love with '80s as a kid, kind of same as you. But I didn't have a dad my dad is awesome, man of God, but he
Yeah.
didn't stop me from watching the
Yeah.
the Attitude Era. But so Stone Cold, and then I do leave that fourth spot kind of open for like.
Undertaker has to be in there. Dude,
Right,
this is
right.
such a hard conversation.
Because I look at Cena, right, and I never watched his era. He was still the doctor of thugonomics whenever I stopped watching wrestling. So like I totally missed his entire era, but I understand what he did for the company overall. So like I put him in there just because out of respect for what he did. But like I would love to put Bret Hart in there.
Oh, yeah, I love Bret Hart.
My
favorite
match.
my favorite match of all time is the Bret Hart match.
Which one is it?
It's him and Mr. Perfect.
Oh, really? Interesting. That was a technical match all the way.
Yes, I loved that. I could watch that match a million times.
Yeah.
Because I love Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
I
Kurt
loved-
Hennig was awesome.
He was so cool. And growing up I watched the retro area, so
Yeah.
I grown up watching him like come down the ring with his hair, acting the way he did.
Oh.
I thought, and so yeah, and so him and Bret Hart that match.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is it at?
Was it for the Intercontinental Belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could watch that match a million times.
I will tell you, as a 44-year-old man, I still, when I do chew gum, which isn't very often, whenever I'm done with that, spit it out and hit it.
That's so funny.
As an adult, it's still
One
do
of the
that.
coolest things he would do is when he'd come down in the ring, he'd have his towel and he'd flip
Yeah.
it up and catch it behind his back. I was like, dude, this guy is so cool.
One of my favorite video vignettes of all time, and I hope you saw this one. I can't remember the football player he was standing next to. He goes, "Hey."
Yes,
watch this."
I've seen it. And he throws it and he runs.
and they zoom in on the guy's face. And he's like, "Yeah," and he throws the ball to himself.
One of my favorite moments in wrestling history. It's one of my favorites. Is Survivor Series. Ric Flair and Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Ric Flair and Razor Ramon tag match between Macho Man and it's supposed to be Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior leaves, so Macho Man, no one knows who his partner is going to be, and there's a big conference with like a bunch of wrestlers there, and this is when Mr. Perfect is a heel with Bobby Heenan. And Macho Man, I've got the perfect partner. And then Mr. Perfect. And Mr. Perfect walks out at Survivor Series to be his partner, and the fans go crazy.
Really? I
And
don't even remember that.
His fans go crazy, and he's walking out and he's doing his like Mr. Perfect thing. I was like, dude, this guy is so cool.
So they turned him from a heel to a baby face just like
So
that.
no one, they hadn't turned him babyface yet. No, he's Mr. Perfect. So people were like, they didn't trust him when he
Yeah.
went out with Macho Man. In mid-match, he's like walking out, and it's like, oh no, he's leaving Macho Man. Oh no! But then he comes back, and they win the match, and everyone's like going crazy, and it was so awesome.
Yeah. So were you able, well, no, I guess that was during the Attitude Era, but Attitude Era, WCW style. Did you ever see Kurt Hennig's West Texas Rednecks?
No,
Oh my goodness, I'm about to make your night. So, of course, we can't.
is that like a
listen-
tag team?
So, he formed this Western band, and they were called the West Texas Rednecks. But so I'm a brand loyal guy, so I didn't watch anything WCW. This just came across to me because of the song that they released. Because they were wrestling somebody, some rap group, so they came up with this super Western song called "Rap is Crap," and it is so hilarious. And they made a music video for it, and they shot it exactly like a Western music video from back in the 90s, right? It was, it took place in the 90s, but they filmed it exactly like with the quick zoom in turns and, them like, ho, 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 laughing as they're
That's
singing.
so funny.
It is hilarious. So like, if we remember, we'll pull it up on YouTube before you get out of here so that way you can see it. But yeah, it's called the West Texas Rednecks. So hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Kurt Hennig is one of those guys, man, that he died way too young. And I remember when he did, I don't know the exact date, but I remember when he died, I was like, what the heck?
I know.
I want to say that Kurt Hennig was the first wrestler of the 80s era, the golden age, whatever it's called, that died, I think.
Maybe.
Because I know he was super young. I remember him, of course, Eddie Guerrero, of course, Chris Benoit. I was super devastated about that. And then it's just wild. But Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. He was the perfect villain for me
I loved him.
because I did not like him because he was playing heel. That was back when wrestling was real. So like I thought he was a bad guy. I told Dexter and Elise because they used to be scared of the Fiend, and I told them, I said, when Undertaker first debuted, you have no idea because now it's just entertainment. Back then it was real. They played it as real.
Yeah.
So when the Undertaker would come out, like I would be scared out of my mind because this guy who won't die is coming after Hulk Hogan or somebody like that, and it's just like I was severely scared of the Undertaker growing up.
Yeah.
Till I got to a certain point, and
Growing up, me and my brothers, we loved the bad guys. We loved the heels. Like Brett's favorite wrestler growing up was Ravishing Rick Rude. And so my dad would egg him on. So Brett, when he was little, he'd come out in like his underwear and he'd start doing the
Yeah.
My dad would egg him on, and Brady like loved Jake the Snake Roberts, and we just loved the bad guys for some reason. And so
yeah. What did what? No, you didn't watch that guy. So you know that there was another guy that took over for Ravishing Rick Rude. Maybe you know of him now because you're an adult, but his name is Val Venus.
oh yes.
He basically became the new Rick Rude.
Yeah, dude.
The Attitude Era was so bad.
Crazy.
But I guess when I say bad,
I look
mean,
back at some of those clips and I'm like, what on earth?
Did you see this? Did you see the storyline where Mark Anthony got that 80-year-old woman pregnant? And then when she gave birth to a hand.
Yes.
Wow, like
What is going on? Dude, they were on like some serious drugs writing.
And the thing is like when you look back at some of the stuff that they did, right? Some of the storylines I remember, some of the storylines I don't. But like thinking back on what the Dudley Boys used to do to Mae Young, putting her through tables, there was one time where Bubba picked up Mae Young and jumped off the corner of the aisle into a place and powerbombed her and him. I mean, his butt and legs took most of the force like it's supposed to when he does that, but still, she was like 80-something years old, and
It was probably her
flying through
idea.
the air. Oh, I guarantee it was. But just watching them, these old ladies take bumps, I'm like, holy crap.
I look back, I've seen some clips, I'm like, what on earth?
Gold Dust back in the heyday, right?
There was an old clip of Vince McMahon saying the N-word in front of Booker T, like as a gag. And Booker T's like, did he just say that? And it was like, how did they get away with this?
Yeah, different time back then, but yeah.
They introduced, who's the, Sabu, is that his name?
The one that just passed?
Yes.
Yeah, Sabu.
I think it was him. They introduced him. Vince looked at some of the security and was like, this guy, he's for the Taliban. And I was like, what on earth? What are we doing?
Were you a fan of Sabu?
I thought he was. I have some memories of watching him wrestle in like the Royal Rumble and stuff.
You should look up his stuff from ECW.
I know. I've seen clips. It's crazy.
Here's what I'll tell you. Like, there used to be a local joint called PCW. I think they called themselves, I think they were called Professional Championship Wrestling. I got to film a little bit for them, and I got to film a Sabu match. It was stupid. Like, when I say stupid, I mean like crazy. Like, because,
Insane.
it's different from when you're watching it on camera versus
In
person. But then even more so, like, I was within, because there was only a very little area to move at PCW. Like on PCW, they had no cameras on this side, and we were over here, and then they had one from top-down view to get the entirety of the ring and people walking out, right? So we had to get super close, and it was a wild match. It was a wild match. And the thing is like PCW people, not Sabu, but PCW people, because they would ever so often they would have like an invited guest, and he was one of them. But like they would get paid like $50-$60.
I know.
And
they're doing this crazy stuff.
With Sabu, right? And they didn't have the padding on the outside of the apron. They had the steel cages, so like
they're just daredevils. Like
they had security, right? Security, their job was to hold on to the rail. So if the wrestlers came out of the ring and hit the rail wouldn't go in and hit the people in the audience.
That's what people that say wrestling's fake. It's like, dude, These wrestlers are insane. They are insane.
Yeah. But yeah, so your favorite wrestler of all time is who?
Oh my gosh, dude, these are so tough. I loved Mr. Perfect. I loved Hulk Hogan.
So while you're thinking of that, so my oldest son's name is Brett.
Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart
I
is
knew that.
is my favorite wrestler of all
I
time.
love Bret Hart too.
He was a phenomenal wrestler, and you never, when you hear stories about other wrestlers that wrestle with him, they always knew that when he did something, like they would never get hurt because he took the time to make sure that he could do these moves.
He's just awesome.
And he would sell properly and all
Yeah.
that, and doing the double heel turn not double heel turn, double turn, where he went to be a villain and Stone Cold became a good guy. Like, who does that, right?
That's crazy.
He's such
I
a
love
phenomenal
Bret
wrestler.
Hart.
Yeah,
I loved the OG, the retro, the Hart Foundation.
Yeah,
I thought they were so cool.
dude. So you grew up, so you knew they're like the thing that Bret Hart would always say was like, it's time to put up or shut up, dude. You know how many times I said that?
Yeah.
Just even out of context, just because.
Dude,
like,
I grew up going,
Yeah, me too. Me too. And like as a kid, you sit there and you watch this, and you see him take those pink things, and I'm like, how can I be one of those
I know.
kids, right? And I'm sure people paid him to do it, but when I took Brett to Houston and to meet Bret Hart, I didn't have him do anything like that, but for sure, like I paid for a photo, right, of us. And then I just asked the guy, like Bret Hart doesn't care how many photos you take. It's the guy that's taking the photos that gets the yes or no. So took 2 pictures with me, Brett, and then I was like, hey man, can I just get one of me and Brett? And he's like, yeah. And so I got one with me and Brett, and then just me and Bret Hart. So it was awesome. I told him, I said just so you know, I said I'm not like a crazy guy. I was like, but this is my son, Brett. And then what was awesome about him is like the entire time that I was there let me rephrase that. Most of the time that I was there interacting with him, he was interacting with my son. So he was just like, so how do you spell your name? And then Brett says, my son, because both of them his name are Brett. So my son was like, Brett, and he goes, what's the extra T for? and my son was like, he was dumbfounded by the question just because, he wasn't expecting the kickback. And I said I had to make it a little different. We couldn't have it exactly like you. And he's like, I understand. And he asked, my son a couple of other questions, and then we took the photos. It was a really cool experience for me. I don't know how much it impacted my son, but it was a moment where I have a picture with the 2 most important Bretts. So.
I loved Big Boss Man.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I loved him. I thought his theme song was so cool. Mm-hmm. If you ever take a trip down in Tri-County, Georgia, you better and respect the law and order.
Hey, Christy, I asked him the question, and he said that I'm his favorite.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
I didn't force him to answer. But so your favorite of all time, Big Boss Man?
No, not of all time.
No,
It's just I have so many.
You're just thinking of Big Boss Man. The thing that I will never forget about the Big Boss Man was I don't know, it was during the Attitude Era, so I don't know if you know this storyline or not, but the Big Show's dad died.
Yes, I remember this. I've seen the clips.
Yeah, and he shows up to the funeral and drives off with the casket, and like
so stupid.
And Big Show jumps on the casket, and he's just driving away. I'll never forget that.
It's so stupid. It's like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Who's writing these shows?
Or I think it was when he was supposed to join the corporate ministry and he didn't, or they were tired of him and they hung him in the middle of the ring.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, it's like,
what is going on?
What's going on here?
I remember Undertaker in the Ministry of Darkness hung him.
Yeah, that's what it was.
On a like a cross. They were like trying to. I was like, guys, come on, man, what are we doing?
I know. But all right, do you have a favorite wrestler? We're gonna leave it like that.
Okay, a favorite wrestler. I got to give you an answer.
You don't have to.
I got to say Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
I'll say Hulk Hogan because he's the one who got me into wrestling.
Hulk Hogan is so good.
Yep. I can't believe he's gone.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. One last question. Did you see Iron Claw?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
I did.
Phenomenal.
it was unbelievable.
Okay. All right. So at the end of the podcast, I always give the guest whatever you want to say to the people, encouragement, wisdom, whatever you want to say to the people that made it this far. Like, it's all you.
Obviously, if you're listening, obviously put your hope and trust in Jesus if you haven't already. You look around the country, you look around the world, things are getting crazy, things are getting weird, and you're looking for hope. That's where your hope is. If you already know Jesus and you're walking with him, continue to press in. The closer you get to him, the more full your life will be. I just talked about my life with the people around me, how I'm single, and it's like I could easily look around. It's like, why am I not married yet? Why don't I have kids yet? What's going on? But the closer I've gotten to God, the closer I've gotten to Jesus in my walk with him, the fuller my life has been, the better my friendships and my relationships with people in the church have been. And so I would say, in everything you do, just do your best to just completely get as close to Jesus as you possibly can.
Awesome. Great words of wisdom. Blair?
That sounds so simple. So just trust Jesus.
Hey, I can tell you right
like
now.
a Sunday school answer.
Yeah, I will tell you to do something, and then the next week I will fail miserably. So it is what it is. So that's why we need a Savior, right? Mm-hmm. So Blair, I appreciate you coming in here. I can't wait to see PB&J. I'll be your first or second subscriber, maybe third, because I'm sure y'all probably subscribe to yourselves, but I will definitely subscribe and listen.
Awesome.
So hopefully can have you back on again. Maybe we can
fun.
figure a way to put another microphone in here and have the PB&J podcast.
That's so
before
funny.
Before y'all get too big.
That's so funny.
So, all right. Oh, yeah, I always do this. Like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends about it. But this has been Aaron Ask America. Thanks for watching.
Aaron Ask America, we're talking real life. Truth, love, and struggle, no filters, no hype. From the heart of the people to the soul of the land, he's asking the questions you'll understand. Aaron Ask America.